and welcome to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be creating these pricing cards in Figma. Alright, let's get started. We're going to start with a frame. So I'm just going to click on F so that I can use one of the presets. We're going to use the desktop frame. Next up, I'm going to change the fill of this frame to completely black. Next, I'm going to add a layout guide. Let's change the type of layout guide to columns. Go over to the settings for the number of columns. We're going to make it 12. I'm going to make the color 15, transparency 15%, and margin is going to be 120. And I can just go ahead and close this. I'm going to get closer so we can start adding in our elements. I'm going to start with a text. So I'm going to go to my notes. This note is going to be, all of this text is going to be in the description box below, so you can go ahead and check that out. I'm going to paste, and now I'm going to change the typography of this text. First of all, we'll change the text, the font to Bricolage Grotesque, and size is going to be 42, and the line height is going to be 50. I'm going to just bring it here to the center. I'm going to create another copy of this text box. Let's change the size of this one to 22, and line height, let's make it 30. I'm going to go back to my notes, grab the second line of text, copy it, and then I'm going to paste. Once again, let me just create another copy of this text. This text, let's change the font to Inter. Size is going to be 18, and line height is going to be 26. And I'm going to grab the remaining text, copy it, and then paste. I'm going to change the alignment of the text to center and just sort of place it here. We'll figure out the spacing for everything later. I'm going to create another copy of this text so I can reuse it, and I'm going to copy the next line, which is just this word monthly, and then paste. Let me change the resizing of this text to auto width. Let me get closer, and we're going to have this here. I'm going to insert a rectangle, so I'm just going to have one here. Let's change the width of this rectangle to 50, and the height is going to be 26. We're going to make the corner radius. Let's just come closer and do it here. Select this dot and then just drag. So you need 13 to make it complete, all sides completely rounded. So I'm going to go over to fill. No, not fill. Let's add a stroke and make the stroke completely white. Then remove the fill. I'm now going to add another rectangle. So I'm going to, or rather a circle, sorry, an ellipse, and I'll just insert one, and I want it to be 20 by 20. Align it here, so it's going to be 2 from, let me see, 2, okay, 3. The line is inside, 3 from the left, 3 from the top, and 3 from the bottom, and you should have that. And the fill of this circle should be white. Select the two, Shift A, make it a frame, and I'm going to select these two items, make it a frame also, and the gap should be 10. Let's zoom out. I'm going to create a copy of this text box so I can reuse it also. I'm going to grab the text, which is yearly, and then I'm going to paste, change the resizing to auto width. Let me bring this here. I'm going to zoom in. Once again, we need a rectangle. I'm just going to draw one here. The width of this rectangle is going to be 85, and the height, we're going to leave it, well, it's supposed to be 20, but for me it's just coincidentally 20, so I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to get closer, grab these dots, radius, and then this time for this rectangle, to make it completely rounded, we need 10 for the corner radius. Let's change the fill to FF B7, and I'm going to insert another text, or let me copy the text. I'm going to click on T, insert the text, and I'm going to paste. So for me, the typography is Inter. The size for this text is going to be 14 and the line height is going to be 20, and I'm going to bring it over this rectangle. Just align it horizontally, align the horizontal and vertical centers. Select both of them, Shift A, make it a frame. Select these two, make it a frame also, make the alignment center and the gap is also going to be 10. Now I can zoom out, select these two items, make it a frame, alignment should be center, gap should be 20. Select all of these items, make it an auto layout, gap should be 20, alignment should be center. And we are done with this. I'm just going to bring it to the center of our frame. We're going to create a frame. So I'm just going to click on F and I'm just going to draw a blank frame here. We're going to, let me add a fill to this frame. We're going to make it black. I'm going to bring it. I know we can't see it yet, but I'm just going to move it till it's on the edge of our first column, and I'm going to increase the width so it's on the edge of the end of the fourth column. So the width is going to be 387 and the height is going to be 670. Let's add a stroke. So I'm going to add a stroke, and over here we're going to select the gradient option. So we have the gradient going from top to bottom. We're going to leave it as it is. Let's use FA973C as the top gradient, and for this one we're going to make it AD301A, and I'm just going to close this. Next up, let's go over to corner radius. We're going to make the corner radius 30. Seems I need more space. Let me just increase this. Corner radius is 30, and for the stroke we're going to make the opacity 40%. Now we're going to need a circle. I'm just going to click on O so that we can have an ellipse, and I'm going to add it inside this frame. Let's change the dimensions of the circle. Make it 430 by 430. And I'm going to go over to fill. We're going to use gradient fill. So select gradient, and over in these options we are going to use radial. So we're going to have two options, one in 0% and one at 100%. So the one at 0%, we're going to use the same colors we used. It's going to be FA973C. And for the second one, we are going to use AD301A. I'm going to close this. Now let's go over to effects. We're going to add a layer blur to our circle. Now come over to the blur options. We're going to make the blur 120, and I'm going to bring this circle down, and what I want it to be 475 from the top of our frame. So currently for me it's 468. I'm just going to move it down a bit so it's 475. Check again, almost. So now this circle is 475 from the top, and that's fine. I can now just close this, and now we have the base for our other content. Let's now start adding our text. So I'm going to, let me come over to my notes. I'm going to grab the first package, text, click on T, and then I'm going to paste my text. I'm going to change the font to Bricolage Grotesque. The weight is going to be medium. Size is going to be 32, and the line height is going to be 40. and I'm just going to sort of place it here. I'm going to create a copy of this text box so we can reuse it. This time the font is going to be Inter, the weight is regular, size is 18, and the line height is 26. I'm going to grab my text, copy it, and then paste. Let's change the alignment of the text to left, and we're also going to change the width. The width is going to be 308. And then I'm going to create a copy of this text on top. Let's change the size to 48, and we're going to make the line height, let's leave it at 40. I can just change this to $19. So, and I'm going to create another copy of this. Let me grab the text for this other part, copy it, and then paste. For this one, we're going to make the width regular, size is going to be 20, and line height is going to be 28. I'm going to align both of them and make it a frame, or an auto layout gap is going to be 0. And I'm just going to zoom out, select this. I could just place it here for now. Select these 3, make it an auto layout gap is going to be 20. For positioning, I'm just going to align it to the center. On one side I have it 40, one side is 39. It's just because of the dimensions, but I also want the top of our frame to be 40 from the frame, 40 from the frame. So it's currently 34 for me. I'm going to move it down till it's 40 from the top, 40 from the left. That's what I'm looking at. Let's now add in an icon. So I'm going to right click on this frame, go over to plugins, and I'm going to run Iconify. Give this a moment, and I want to use check. So let me just if you just need to search check and just select the icon sets, material symbols, and I want to use the second one. That's how you get the same one, and I'm just going to drag it into my frame, and then I'm going to close it. Let's go over to selection colors. Let's change the color to 4FF54F, and size is going to be 24 by 24. Let me just move it so it's aligned to the left of our frame. I could just grab a copy of this text, or you could create another one if you want to. Change the size to 16, and the line height is going to be 24. I'm going to come over to my notes, grab the first content. I'm going to change the resizing to auto width. Now I'm going to select this to make it a frame, and gap is going to be 10. Now we can reuse this to create the rest, but first I want to check the spacing. The spacing between these two should be 50, so I'm just holding shift and dragging. It's going to increase by 10, so spacing is 50. I'm going to select this and create more copies. I need a total of 5, and I want the spacing to be 20, so spacing is 20. I'm just keeping an eye out for that. Why increase 20, 20, and then also 20. So we can now add in our remaining content. I'm going to copy the next content, copy that, paste, go over to the next one, copy and paste, select this one, and then I'm going to paste it. Finally, I'm going to select this, copy, and then paste. We're going to need a button for our final detail. So I'm just going to insert a text, and I'm just going to type in get started. Let's change the color of our text to black. Next up, let's make it a frame. So I'm going to use Shift A and we're going to make it a frame. The padding on the left and right is going to be 30 and the padding on the top and bottom is going to remain at 10. Let's go over to fill, add a fill for this button, leave it at white, and then a corner radius is going to be 30. 30 looks a bit much. Let's make it 20. 20 looks much better. So I'm just going to move it till it's at the center of our frame. And then what I'm going to do is use Alt to check. I want it to be 116. So it's checking from the circle. It's automatically, I want it to check from the frame, but it's checking for the circle. No worries. So I want it to be 116 from the top of this circle that is behind it. So I'm going to bring it down till I have 116. So yeah, here we go. So this is the position for this button, and that is it for our first card. We can now use this one to create the rest. So select this frame, create another copy, and then create the second copy. I just realized I don't think I changed the, sorry about that, it happens sometimes. The font is supposed to be bricolage grotesque. Size is going to be 18, line height is going to be 26, and the weight is going to be medium. I'm just going to make sure to realign it and make sure it still has the same position. I'm just going to copy it, and then here Control Shift R to place to paste and replace. I'm just going to paste it and then realign. All right, now we can get started with the second one. I'm going to go to my text. I'm not going to copy the first text since I can just type it out. It's Pro. I'll just come here, change this to Pro, paste the text here. The pricing for this is 49, so I'm just going to change it to 49. Let's now add the content for what is offered within this package. I'm going to copy the first one, paste, copy the second one, and then I'm going to paste. I'm going to copy this, paste, move on to the fourth one, select everything, paste, and we're going to need one more of this frame. I'm just going to create another one. Oops. Hold Alt and Shift, create another copy of this, and then I'm just going to grab the content for this, paste, and I'm going to copy this text. This one is for the button. I'm going to paste that, and then just realign my text, and it's also 116 from the top of that circle. Let's change the color of this. So I'm going to select the entire frame so I can change the color of both the stroke, then the stroke of our frame, and also this circle. So come over to this stroke here. I can just change the colors to F64, F94, and then I'm also going to AA1FEC. And I'm going to come over to selection colors, and where it's radial, I'm going to change it to the same colors. So it's going to be F64, F94. And then for this one, I'm going to select it and we're going to change it to AA1FEC. And yeah, we're going to have our second card. We can now start working on our third card. So I'm going to come over to my notes, copy this, and I'm going to paste grab the next item, that's the description text, paste. I'm going to, let me copy this first one. I'm going to type in the price myself. So it's 129. And I'm going to paste the first item. Let me go to the next one, copy it, paste. I'm going to grab the third item, paste, grab the fourth one, select everything, paste, fifth, and I'm going to paste. I'm going to create 2 more copies of this. Let me grab this, copy, and then paste. Final one, I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste. This is going to be contact sales. And I'm going to align it to the center of my frame, just like this. Once again, let's change the color of our gradient. So I'm going to come over to where it says stroke, select this, and we can change the colors. So the color for this one is 00E5F8. And for this second one is going to be 1448F6. And I'm going to close this. Under selection colors, where it's radial, I'm going to use the same colors. So 00E5F8, and then I'm going to change this to 1448F6, and we are going to have a third card. So what I'm going to do now is just select these 3 cards, group them, select this text and this, and I want the spacing between them to be 40. So I'm holding shift while I do this. There's no real spacing for what we have on top. Maybe I could just make it 100. And yeah, that is it for our pricing cards. I'm just going to go ahead and open this in the prototype view so that we can see what our cards look like. So this is what our pricing cards look like in the prototype view. So yeah, I'll always encourage you to play around with colors. If you liked this video, you can just change things around. Treat this video like a blank slate and just try to try different corner radius, colors, gradients, things like that, maybe different blurs for the circle, so on and so forth. But anyway, that is it for this particular tutorial. If you enjoyed this video and you want to watch similar content, similar UI UX design content in Figma, you can check out the description box below for longer form tutorials, much longer tutorials, and also courses that are available on my channel. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.